Hello, hello, hello. How are we all? I'm really happy to be with you again. Thursday night natter on its way. So let me know if you are in the house, if you can see me, hear me, and are ready to go. That would be great. I'll just give you a few minutes to pop in. So, anybody out there? We were a minute or so early. I was just hoping nothing was going to go horribly wrong again, as these things do. Hello Joyce, hi Bevan, hope you're well, lovely to have your company. Let's hope there are a few more ready to come in. Excuse me. Hi Jamie, hope you're okay. Hello May, oh that's good. Sorry, I know there's that hissing noise, we're working on it, don't worry. Things are going to get better. I can't help that at the moment, I'm afraid. But hopefully you can hear me over it and it's not too much of a distraction. Oh dear, I don't know. I wasn't cut out for this. Hello Diane, how are you lovely? Hi Wendy, good to have you with us again. Oh, this is all very exciting, isn't it? Hi Emma. Oh good, good. Seems like we're loud and clear, fantastic. Hello Sharon, hope you're well. Are you boiling way up there, or is it nice and cool for you? It's very hot where I am today, but lovely, I'm not complaining. But yeah, very hot. Not conducive to working, is it? Never mind. We're never happy. If we didn't have the weather to moan about, what would we talk about? Alright, so tonight we're going to talk about the beautiful patchwork collection from Jamie and the accessories that come along with it, lovely dies, lovely sentiments, and those amazing triangle layering dies. Oh, so many goodies. And then besides that, we've got accessory products, so we've got going to have a look at some glitters tonight. Love these glitters. Haven't played with them, not for you guys just yet, so I decided it'd be nice to look at those. Hi Alison, I am well, thank you. I hope you are. Hi Nicola. Hi Sally, hope you're okay, darling. So yeah, let's have a look at the dies in this collection then. Oh, I've lost my cursor. There we are. So here we go. The Patchwork Collection consists of 6 designs of a square pattern, 3¼ inches each square. So we've got the floral square, which has got this lovely floral burst. And then each of these die sets has 3 in the packet. You get a plain outer edge. The patterned plate will only cut the pattern into the card. It won't cut out as a separate square unless you use that edge with it. And then the outer border cuts completely separately as a frame. And each of the sets has a different frame and a different centre. So lots of interchangeability with these. Absolutely gorgeous. So then we have the music notes. Now I'm sure you can quickly see that these patterns are going to relate to things that we've already had in the collection. So the kaleidoscope sets, some of the stamps, some of the corners, other things that we've already seen, these are going to coordinate with in true Jamie style. I love that. Then we have the striped square tile. Now this one's really clever. Obviously just initially you can see it could be horizontal, it could be vertical, but also you can weave with this one. And we've got a couple of bits to show you with that. And then we have our fretwork square tile. This is lovely. It's a symmetrical pattern, little flowers and lots of scrolls. Really pretty, and it's got a frame that has little holes cut through it. Then we come on to the polka dot square tile. This is really lovely, quite big dots that pop out of this one, and a little scalloped edge to the frame there. Really pretty. And then finally in the 6 squares we've got the swirly square tile, and again this is one of the patterns that you've seen repeated in other products that Jamie's brought to us already. So nice to coordinate your corners with these ones that already match up. Then with this collection we also have the beautiful button blooms. These are quite a retro looking flower when you see them just like that, and you could use them to create that kind of style. But I love this because you get seven different sizes, and they all cut at the same time on this big plate. So it means you save a lot of cardstock doing it that way, because and you don't lose these tiny ones, because they're a beggar. If you lose them, you're probably never going to see them again, especially if you're crafting with anything like mine. Then we've got the mirrored lavish foliage. Now you may remember we had the original lavish foliage with the Essentials collection. They faced one way. Then we've got the mirrored, and these face the other way. So now we can do left and right in our floral arrangements, which is amazing and so useful. And then also with this collection came along the elegant dragonflies. These are lovely. You've got 2 solids and 2 filigree, one front on and one side on, which is nice to have that. That's different. They're a nice size as well, really pretty, and it's lovely, isn't it, to have something different from butterflies as well, but you can certainly use the 2 together. So a really lovely addition to the collection. And then on top of that, as if that wasn't enough, we have 5 wonderful sentiments. These are generally usable, they're not too specific. So we've got, well, one of them is, we've got To a Very Special Friend, and these are quite a decent size. Just because the packets look dinky doesn't mean that the dies are, because of course they can be put sideways into the packet, so they are bigger than they perhaps look on the front. To a Very Special Friend, thank you from the bottom of my heart, and you can see that's quite a decent size. Sent with love and sympathy, that was the one that obviously is specific. Don't forget to make a wish, and that could be for any celebration, couldn't it? And then we have hoping all of your wishes come true. I love that. It's just so lovely, isn't it? Hope you get what you deserve and what you're looking for in life. Brilliant. Alright, so let me show you a few more details of these products, and then I can show you some samples for inspiration. So here are those beautiful sentiments to start with. Now you can see they are decent when they're cut out. Lots of detail, lots of different fonts and styles within these. What I've noticed is that this font, the scrolly font, matches the alphabet, the velvet alphabet, if any of you have seen that. It's very similar if it doesn't match perfectly, so helpful if you want to extend your phrases or add more detail to those. So those are your 5 sentiments. I think you'll find those really usable. I've used them a lot. So those are your sentiments, and then we'll have a look at some of the other bits and bobs. So here we've got that lovely lavish foliage, and we've got boards here to show you the left and right, so you can see this swinging in the opposite direction. So when you're wanting to put a spray together, for instance, if you wanted to use these 2, well, any of them, they go the other way. It just makes your floral arrangements look more balanced, and gives them that extra finesse that we're always looking for, aren't we? So then we come on to the button blooms. Now these, as I say, there are 7 sizes, and when you put them all together, and these petals have been cupped, so just folded around a paintbrush handle or something like that to give them a little bit of a scooped effect. I don't know if you can pick that up. And then stacked together, really pretty, really lovely. But you can fold these in lots of different ways, which gives you options. Always great to have options. Oh, that's one thing I forgot to mention. And then these are our lovely dragonflies, and as you can see, these are stackable. So we've got lots of different options here. We've got 2 of the filigrees exactly the same, stacked on top of each other, and then we have the filigree on top of the plain. Well, they're not plain because they've got lots of embossing detail, which I'll come back to in a second. Here we've got our sideways fella, and then we've got the two solid ones stacked together here as well, which makes it really pretty. But you can use any combination, obviously. Now I'm going to try to get this up to the camera. There we go. Can you see the level of detail in these? That's down to the etching in the dies that gives us that beautiful extra detail, and I think it's wonderful, because a dragonfly that's flat looks alright, but it's not as exciting as this, is it? So there we are. Then the one thing I forgot to mention was that with this collection, or came out at the same time, was this music stamp. It's one of the DL stamps. It also fits the pinstripe stamp, so if you wanted to stamp the lines, you could have those in between. And this, again, you can see it came out with this collection, but it's going to coordinate clearly with the musical collection, but also with other bits and bobs that we've been seeing along the way. So that's the DL musical stamp, and here it is actually in the flesh. It's a sizable stamp, the DL stamps are, but of course if you only want to use a small portion of it you can do, if you only want to use one strip of it you can do. So I love these style of stamps because they're very versatile, and you can break them down into much smaller components, so I love that. And then also in this collection came our amazing right-angled triangles. Now, you probably know by now, I'm a bit of a fan of the triangles because I like to use them for folding, making pockets and all that kind of thing. But for matting and layering, these are brilliant. I don't know if you've ever tried to mat and layer triangles, but they're a bit of a thing, a bit of a nightmare. To get the proportions right, get the spacing right, and you just think, well, I'll cut two squares and I'll cut them into triangles, but it somehow doesn't work. So having them all laid out like this, ready sized, is just wonderful. And when you see them cut, I mean, this has been done with the long side at the bottom, but if you look at it with that right angle, if I can get it so you can see it, there we go, you can see how that clearly is going to make lots and lots of pockets if you're into making books or journals and things like that. Also, you could use it to actually make the card, and I know Ian in particular did some beautiful triangular cards that stood up that way. It created a hinge on this side, and they looked amazing. And there are examples on Jamie's website. If you need inspiration, all the DT's card samples are on Jamie's website. So if you go to Jamie Rodgers Crafts and look for the collection you want to inspiration for, you can find them all on there, which is a fantastic resource. So there we are. Now let me show you the boards for all the other bits and bobs that we've chatted about. So these are our squares. So with the 3 dies that you get in each set, you have that plain outer square, which will cut just a plain square like this. Let me just grab one so you can see that straight edge square in there. But don't forget, if you cut this frame, this is also a cutting edge. Now that's going to leave you a square in the middle, which is slightly bigger than the one that edge will cut. So you have 2 options for matting and layering. Fantastic start. Then you have the pattern in the middle, which if you just cut that into a piece of card, it will just leave the pattern in the card and it won't cut out as a square. If you cut that plain edge with the inner pattern, you will get a square like this with a clear edge on it. And if you cut just that middle section into the bigger square that came out when you cut the frame, then you get that, but with a wider border. So really clever, and so many options, it's lovely. Then you've got your frame, of course, to work with, and you can stack these in lots of different ways. You can mix and match across the sets because they're all the same size. So absolutely gorgeous. So that one is your swirly square. Then we've got this one, I just have to remind myself, that's the fretwork. So the same thing, 2 different size squares for matting and layering, or for using as a back plate. 2 different borders depending which pattern which square you cut them into, and of course the border. And if you have a look here, we've got the pattern cut into a square and then the border's been popped over that to create a different look again. Really lovely. Okay, I'll whiz through the rest because the principle's exactly the same. I think you've got it by now. So these are your polka dot squares, and this is your floral tile. Then we've got the music tile, and then we've got that beautiful lines tile. Now this one gives you other options because when you cut it, you get all the strips out, so you can use those for other things. And you can cut 2 of these, rotate 190 degrees and stack them to get a waffle. But you can also weave these strips back into this fretwork and create a woven look, which is really, really lovely. So those are your 6 patchwork squares, really stunning, and I think you'll agree, very, very usable. And of course they don't have to be big cards because these are 3 1/4 inch square, so you can happily do smaller cards, or you can build them up and create patterns, pattern match across a much bigger piece of card. And also really lovely for scrapbooking. I think, you know, you could certainly use the frame for photographs, but you could make a border with these quite happily down one side or on the bottom or whatever you want to do. So very, very versatile and useful. So shall we just say hello to a few people? Hello. Oh, I've missed lots of you, sorry. It's so nice to have your company. Thank you so much for coming in. Oh my goodness, you have all whizzed in. Okay. Hi Sue. Hi Kath and Alison. Hi Sheila. Hi Yvonne. There you go. Jamie's put his link up for his website, so that's quite easy, isn't it, to just click that and go and find it if you like to. Hi Kim and Sandra. Hi Hazel. Hi Sue. And it's lovely to see you all. Thank you so much. Susan, I said 3 1/4. Let me just double check that for you, but I think it's 3 1/4. There we go, 3.25 inches. So yeah, 3 1/4 inches. If you want that in centimetres, I can give you that as well. 8.5 centimetres. That's the largest. So obviously the ones in the middle are slightly smaller. All right. So let's see what we can tell you about tonight then. Last week's winner of my question was Hayley Ralph. So congratulations, Hayley. I hope the cards arrived and I hope you're pleased with them. I have got a question for you all tonight, but I'm not going to ask it just yet. So a little bit later on, have a listen out for a question that's coming your way. Okay. There's not a lot I can tell you at the moment because, as you all know, Jamie is up to his neck in things. The warehouse is still coming on a treat. It's coming closer and closer day by day. He and Pete are working like troopers to get it all ready for us all to go and visit and enjoy days there and things like that. So keep up the good work, boys. I know it's hard, but you're getting there. You are amazing, both of you. He's also done his Monday Night Natter and done his little sneaky peek of his Christmas collection. How lovely were they? Gorgeous. So yeah, all coming on really nicely. There are lots of other things in the pipeline that I can't tell you about. It'd shoot me. So better not. Okay, so let's have a look at some inspiration from this collection then. I'll just go back to my other camera and then we can have a look at some prettiness. So there we go, there's our polka dot square. This is a lovely way to show how you can build up into a pattern, and it's not a massive card, it's perhaps 6.5 inches. I don't know, I haven't measured it. Have I got a ruler anywhere? Never when you need it. Here we are. 6 3/4 inches, so not quite 7 by 7, and that's a lovely size, and that's happily seating 4 of them on there with a couple of mats, and then the frame's been used to frame the sentiment, which again is a really lovely way to use them, isn't it? The button blooms and both sides of the lavish foliage complete that really pretty design. Then we have this one from Diane showing the floral square tile in the background here. And Diane's done this all in black and white. And in the background, she's used just the inner pattern. So it's cut into a larger piece of white card 4 times. So they just sit in as a sort of filigree pattern, which is really lovely. And then another square that's been cut and mounted in the centre. And these gorgeous dragonflies. This is really graphic to show the detail on those dragonflies, because what Diane's done is cut it from white card and then dragged a black ink pad over the top. And obviously where the embossing is depressed, the ink doesn't get to, so it really picks up all that detail beautifully. And then she's done the same thing on the flowers to pick out the detail in those, because they've got embossed detail as well. And then this frame's been done with the music stamp. Really lovely. All black and white, very, very nice indeed. Here's an absolute stonker from our Jamie. One of his lovely multifold cards. And this is using that curly square. It's not called curly. Sorry, I can't remember the names, but you know which one I mean. Button flowers, dragonflies. But each layer is stacked so that when it's standing up, can you see each of the diamonds is one's higher than the next one, and then we've got the triangles sitting there as well, and it's folded like that. Isn't that beautiful? Who would love to have that sat on the mantelpiece? I mean, gorgeous. All right, so let's have a look at a few more. Let me just make some space. It's descending into chaos already. You know, this is what happens. Right, these are lovely. These are a couple of little cards done by Emma, and I think she actually did all 6 of these. She did a video of these showing how she's done this drop shadow effect. And you can find that on YouTube, on Jamie Rodgers Crafts YouTube channel. And Emma's done a video showing you how she's done this. So she's cut them from black and white and then alternately dropped one of them, so that here you've got a black shadow and here you've got a white shadow, and then alternated the mats and layers in black and white as well, using the scalloped and pierced matting dies to create a backdrop for those, and alternating the frames as well. So a really lovely idea, and these are just like little notelets, so you could quite happily do a set of 6 of these, pop them in a little box, and what a lovely gift that would make. And if you're making to sell, maybe you're doing stuff now for your school fairs, they're coming up, aren't they, end of year school fairs, or gifts for teacher, or you know, anything like that, they'd be stunning, and I think they'd sell really well. But just lovely to give as a gift for anybody. And then you could maybe pop in the sentiments separately, so they've got an option as to which sentiment they put with which card, depending what they need it for. I think that's a great idea. So those are 2 little cards. Now this one's quite different. I love this. This is using the triangles to create a Christmas tree, and why not? And on that Christmas tree we've got that beautiful music stamp. We've also got the original triangles, which were the isosceles, the tall pointy ones, to create sort of, I don't know, could be anything, couldn't they? Mountains, trees in the background. And obviously we've got Santa going across the sky there as well. I think that's really cool. And this one's showing off that lovely button bloom, done in all different colours, and then nice sentiment, and it's actually created like a wreath. So we've got the foliage, the lavender foliage, just scooting around the edges there. It's lost a pearl, that one. And then the corners from the kaleidoscope set, and the triangles used to create maps for the corners. I think that's a really lovely use of those triangles. And then I love this one as well. This one is using the scallop circle nesting dies to create an aperture, and the polka dot square and the line square have been used behind the aperture. It makes it look so different, doesn't it? I love that. And then we've got the mats and layers to create all the other details on this card. Our lovely dragonfly, button blooms, and a sentiment. Now this card, I remember created quite a stir, and I'm not surprised. It's such a fabulous idea. This is by Ian. He's done a pegboard or a workman's wall, or whatever you like to call it, and attached all the tools to it. We've even got a bucket of screws, we've got a drill here, and we've got the wood grain in the background that he actually drew by hand. But of course now we have got that lovely wood grain stamp that's just come out as well, so that would be an alternative. And then to a very special friend, and I love the way he's created rust on these with the waxes, with the lovely metallic waxes. So that's a really fab idea, isn't it? And very different, very different. Alright, now here we've got that lovely musical tile, and it's coming into the musical collection with that violin. Again, 4 square on the card. We've used the scallop, I think this might be Jamie, scalloped nesting dies, and then navy and gold and cream. It's beautiful, isn't it? Very, very stylish, that one. And this is a lovely one from Emma, and Emma's used the sprays and a stencil to create a nice mottly background. You can just pick up the subtle stenciling in the background, and then a couple of dragonflies and a sentiment. So again, really lovely. Jamie's saying he wouldn't shoot me. Yeah, well, good this time yet. And here we've got a really nice pocket. We've got a card that comes out where you could put your own sentiment or a photograph if you want to put it into a scrapbook or an album. And then we've got the Moroccan tile creating this band across the pocket and then the square on the diamond. I like using them on the diamond, they look really pretty, don't they? A little bit of the foliage and the sentiment again. You could certainly put a gift card, or perhaps you're buying somebody tickets for a concert and you want to present them in a nice way. So yeah, a lovely idea. Obviously the team, they're so talented. And this is one from Emma, really beautiful, and I remember she used this on a video as well. She has been busy, hasn't she? And this has got the metallic inks used to colour blend across a whole piece, and then out of that piece she's cut her various elements. So she's put together 4 of the frames, 4 different frames, and then 4 different panels, and also cut out a decal edge square, leaving this frame, so it's left the negative space in the middle. Isn't that pretty? So lovely. And then the button blooms all stacked up, and to a very special friend. You would be very special to get that, wouldn't you? And then we go to a little one here from Ian, and Ian's showed you here perfectly how to weave those strips into that die. It's really clever because he's actually used a black background, that's a full square, then he's cut the lines in white, and then he's obviously cut it again in gold and fed the gold lines through to weave. Isn't it lovely? It's so effective. I could see that at Christmas in like tartan colours, you know, your red and green and your rusts and all that sort of thing. That would be stunning. And then we've got gold detail to finish off the rest of that card. Isn't that beautiful? Now this one is really different. I love this. It's very sort of modern, cubism. There's I don't know where I plucked that one from, but anyway, excuse me. Yeah, really lovely. Lots of triangles put together here to create this fantastic and interesting pattern, but also rectangles and strips from the lines die. They've been used as sort of borders to frame everything. And I love the way the diamantes go in different directions, and then the dragonflies follow those same lines. I think the trick with doing something like this is keeping your directions accurate, so you know, make your angles all the same. But if you've got those triangles, you can do that quite happily. Takes the pain out of it, doesn't it? Here's another one. I think this is from Jamie, judging by the bow on the side and the, you know, the lovely different folds that he likes to do. I think that's gorgeous. And what he's done here is he's cut the dragonflies out of a piece of card. So this is actually an aperture, and then he's embossed that with a stencil. Can you see the depth of that? And that's from the tile collection, I believe, the stencil. And then he's cut 3 of the dragonflies but set them behind so they're dropped down, so it's got dimension to it. This panel's raised. It's lovely, isn't it? Very subtle, and the dragonflies have been coloured with the metallic waxes. Gorgeous. Just a couple more. This one's from Diane. Now Diane's done a beautiful box set. Again, thinking about that idea of gift giving. This one has a belly band, which is beautiful. That of itself could go on the front of a card. It's beautiful, isn't it? And lots of flowers. And we've got the scrolly square as well. And then we've got this lovely box, which, sorry, it's got a bit squished. And in here you have 6 notelets, and envelopes, 1 each with each of the squares. And I love that combination of craft brown, the sailboat blue card, and the cream card. It's lovely, isn't it? So they're all the same apart from the square panels and the borders that are different. So you've got all 6 featured in there, and again you could happily pop some sentiments in with that so that the recipient has the choice of how they'd like to use them. So again, for gift giving or for selling, I think something like that is a winner every time. And then I've just one more super project to show you. This is MDF. It's been sprayed and painted and stamped, and then we've got more MDF little hearts on here, and we've got all those beautiful button blooms and the foliage, all in beautiful shimmering metallics from the metallic ink pads. So that would make a beautiful home decor piece, wouldn't it? Don't forget to make a wish. That's gorgeous, isn't it? I can see that hanging on a wall. Lovely. Alright, so that's our inspiration for now. I'll come back to say hello to a few more people. Hi everybody. Hi Susan. Excuse me, I'm still fighting this lurgy. Jamie, yes, we know. He does love a bow. He does love a bow. I love bows as well. Oh, Diane, fooled you, love. Yes, Emma, that's more like it. I probably need my own chart. Yeah. I've let some things slip that I shouldn't have done, but oh, never mind. Yes, aren't the samples just amazing? And I think it's so lovely to be able to spend a bit more time having a look at them, explaining as best we can how they've been done. Because it really brings them to life, doesn't it? So it's really nice to be able to do that. Hi Inga, lovely to have you with us again. How's life in Denmark? How's the weather over there at the moment? Is it hot or is it cold? I think last time I asked you that you said it was cold. Oh, excuse me, I just need to have a sip of water. Sorry. Right, so I've got a question for you tonight. You probably know by now, and if you don't, where have you been, that Jamie is going to be appearing on Hobbymaker TV tomorrow. I can't tell you how thrilled I am for him, and I want to wish him immense luck and success for the shows tomorrow. I know he's going to smash it, he always does. But my question is, what time are Jamie's shows tomorrow, and on what channel is he appearing? So, what time are Jamie's shows tomorrow, and on what channel? That's my question. We will pick a winner at random, and that lucky person can win a couple of cards from me. If you are the winner, just please send a message to the page with your address and let us know if you'd like the card signing or not, and we can sort that for you and get them out. Alright, so let me just do a quick tidy up and I'll start and do a little bit of something Okay. Let's just pop all the samples away. Excuse me. Alright. See, I don't have a helper. I'm just here on my own, so that's why it takes me a bit longer to get sorted, but never mind. It's all good fun. So I'm going to start with a little pocket. As you probably know, I mean, I've said it before, that I do love making pockets. I really love making books, mini books, journals, any sort of book really, handmade books. I absolutely love it. So what I've done here, I've taken the largest of the triangle dies, and this is the right angle. Oh, Jamie, yes, send him over. Jamie says, would I like a Pete? Can we clone him? Or are you trying to get rid of him? That's another naughty star if you're saying horrible things about my Pete. Don't you dare. Right, so I've taken the largest of the triangles and I've scored it. So if you have a scoreboard, and this is the top edge of your scoreboard, and this is your side, put it that way up. Score it at 3 3/4, I think. Let me double check. Yes, 3 3/4, and then 3 3/4 from that end as well. And then fold it, and there you have a really cute little pocket, or an envelope, depending how you look at it. You could certainly make that an envelope. I wonder if that would fit. No, it's too small. But you could make a tiny little notelet and pop that in there. But anyway, that wasn't the point. It's a pocket, and I'm going to decorate it using those triangles, because as I said earlier, trying to cut triangles and mat and layer them, well, I've never got on with it. I usually end up throwing it across the room, but there we are. So I want to bring in some of the sprays. Now I'm not actually going to spray a piece of card tonight because I haven't got my spray box ready, but you've seen me do this, and I'm using Rose Petal Pink and Seashell Blue from the Elite Misters. So we have 6 colours in here: Night Sky Navy, Sunbeam Yellow, Emperor Red, Gladiator Red, and Heritage Green. So these were the first 6, and I've used these ever such a lot. Some of mine are nearly empty actually, so yeah, I might have to be begging for some more, but we'll see how we go. So these are great because they're very, very concentrated, but you can wash them down. If you decant some into a spray bottle and add some water, you can create a much paler. In fact, I will get my spray box. Just bear with me while I go and get it. I won't be a minute. Right, sorry about that. It's right across through the side of the room. Alright, so if I pop in a bit of paper just to soak up the extra here, and then I need to grab a piece of card, which I haven't got either. Oh dear, bear with me again, sorry. Honestly, you can't get the stuff, can you? Sorry about that. Amateurish. Right. So I've got a big piece of card here, and what I want to do is wet it on one side. That's just to stop it bowing. And then I'm going to flip that over, and I'm going to wet it heavily on this side. I'm just going to use these two colours then, Rose Petal Pink and Seashell Blue. But before I start to do that, I'm going to bring in a wet paintbrush, and I'm actually going to smooth the water so that it's completely coating this piece of card. And I'm doing this because I want a really soft, wishy-washy finish to my spraying. Okay, so lots and lots of water. This is Jamie's Polar White cardstock, so it's not watercolour card or anything like that, and it stands up really well to all this water, so very impressive. And then when I spritz this, some of it you can see starts to sort of wick outwards, which is quite fun. And then I'm going to bring in some of the pink. Can you see the movement now in that? Because you can't really, can you? There you go. You can sort of see the streaks and sweeps appearing because the card was so wet. So you wet your card first, and then you spritz it, and then just leave that to develop. Okay, you can start to see it will move. It will continue moving, and you might get some lines where it's puddled, but I don't mind that. I quite like the effect of that. So I'm going to put that to one side to let that dry. And then from that I'm going to start cutting the pieces I need, which I've already done here. So I have used, I think I'm going to be using 3 sizes of triangle. So I've got a piece of white which is going to go onto the front of the pocket. So I'm going to stick that on first. I've already stuck this one on, and what you need to do is make sure you attach everything to this panel before you seal up the bottom, because we're going to have to seal up the bottom, otherwise it doesn't make a pocket, does it? So I'm using Jamie's Dries Clear Glue, which is a beautiful, it's very creamy in its consistency and it's very fluid, and dries clear, but it gives you a little bit of wiggle room, so it gives you time to just adjust things if they're not quite right. So what I'm doing, I'm just eyeing up all my borders, so the side, the bottom, and this front diagonal strip, and I'm trying to get those as even as possible. And as I say, whenever I've tried to do this by hand, by measuring and cutting, it just doesn't happen. Right, and then I have 2 triangles here, so this is the next size down, and these have been cut from my sprayed piece. Now I think you can see here that lovely mottling that's occurred, and I've also done a little bit of overspraying once it was dry, so I've got dots of blue on top of the pink, so it gives it almost like a speckled eggshell finish in a way. Now I just need to decide which piece I want where. Do I want them like that, or do I want them like that? I think I like them like that. Okay. So you can pick and choose once you've made your sheet of coloured card. You can pick your bits as to where you want them from. And that's another reason I like to work with sprays and create my own coloured card. But you can do whatever you like. Okay. So we'll put our spritz card on there. It's actually quite a quick way of doing lots of things as well, because you've got a whole sheet, so you can cut all your components out that you need for your project from the same sheet, and everything's going to match really beautifully. So again, just try and even up those borders if you can. There we go. And then the next thing I've done here is to create some tags. Jamie, can you just turn off for a minute, because I'm going to be naughty. So I've got some lovely tags that have come. I'm not sure what collection these have come in, but it might have been the Christmas one. And they are rather gorgeous, and these are the ones with the smooth edge, there are lots and lots of sizes. So I've cut one in white and the next size down from my spritzed card, and then a smaller size in white and the next size down in my spritzed card. So I've got two potential tags to layer here. Obviously I'm just doing this really quickly because I could go to town decorating the tag and adding all sorts of embellishments and stamps and all sorts of things, but I just really wanted to show you the spritzing and the triangle pocket. That was the main point of this little demo. But what I might do before next week is finish it in a way that I would to pop into a journal or a scrapbook. So that's going to go in there. I think you can start to see how easy it's going to be to coordinate things when you have a spritz piece of card like this. And it's also a lot different from using just plain coloured cardstock, because that obviously is solid all over colour. Whereas when you spritz your own, even if you spritz it all in the same colour, you don't get a solid finish. You do still get some nice variety. And that's why I love sprays. Well, one of the reasons. There are lots of others. How long have you got? But yeah, so pop that in there. If you remember Jamie's lovely luggage collection, all those gorgeous tags, travel tags that were in there, so you could use those certainly, and you could theme this to whatever occasion you wanted to. Alright, so all that remains to be done is to seal up the bottom. Now I always use glue when I'm sealing a pocket, because if you use tape, double-sided tape is what we call a dry adhesive, and it doesn't change its status. It's already dry, it's just sticky. And when you stick two things together with the tape in between, it sticks them together. But it still has a sticky edge. And so if you use tape along the bottom of a pocket, on the inside of a pocket, when you then tuck things into that pocket, they can stick to the edge of the tape, and it's something that will never go away, and it just irritates me. So I'd rather use glue that goes on wet and is then going to dry, and then it's not going to interfere with your tags or anything else that you put inside your pockets. And that is true for any sort of paper folding pockets, you know, flips and flaps that I might use in my books, things like that. I will always use a wet glue. Yes, it takes a little bit longer to dry, but I'm not in the business of doing instant crafting, so I don't mind waiting. Everything's worth waiting for, isn't it, when it's done properly? Now that just needs a few minutes just to catch, and then we've actually got then a solid pocket, and we can pop these little tags in here, and you could use that for whatever you like. What also comes with the tags, I don't know if I'm allowed to show you, but I've got to break the rules now and then. The eyelets, or the reinforcers for the top of your tags, so you can put those in as well, and then you can add your frippery, your fibres and your ribbons and things like that. So there you are. That's just one little idea, and I've got another one that I made. Do you remember was it last week? No, I can't remember what I was doing last week. But anyway, when I did the lighthouse, I think it was the week before, wasn't it? And I did a piece of sprayed card using the Night Sky Navy and Seashell Blue. Well, I made this from that piece of card that was left over. So I've got the tags with those gorgeous dark blue colours, stormy seas. And on this one I was experimenting a little bit, and I used one of the square tiles to cut through the front of the triangle. Now I only did it halfway because obviously it would have cut into the edge otherwise. So what I did, when I was using my cutting plate, I just put it to there. So it could only cut what was under the plate. And then it didn't work perfectly because it's sort of imprinted, but it's not bad. And then I put glitter through that. So that's another nice idea for using the triangles. But of course, you've got lots of gorgeous corners from Jamie. So things like the Essential collection, and we've got the butterfly corners, haven't we? And these are a nice size actually for doing on the front of this pocket. So one like that, you could cut into the front of that and put some glitter behind it. So that would be really smart as well. Or you could cut it out with its outer edge. Because if you remember with this set, you have this framing piece as well, which cuts you 4 separate corners. So if you want to cut 4 corners, you pop them down like that, and then that will come out as a separate corner, as a separate shape, and then you can just stick that on the front there if that's the way you want to do it. So I think these are going to work really, really nicely with the triangles. It just again adds another element of bringing all your previous collections together and giving things you've already been playing with another playtime. So there we go, that's my first little offering. I hope you've picked up a few tips. Okay, where are we up to? Let's have a look. Hi. Yes, the glitter is very sparkly, but I've got a demo I'm going to show you if we get time. I know time can go so quickly when I'm doing these. I always think, oh, I'm not going to have enough to talk about, or people are going to get bored, or and then it just whizzes past. Oh dear, I hope you are enjoying it. Oh yes, Sue, wasn't that fantastic? The James Bond skit, I loved it, absolutely loved it. I thought it was brilliant, and wouldn't he make a good Bond? Oh, there you go. New life goals, Jamie. I thought it was so fun. Yes, the tape and the glue is it's important, isn't it? These little tips that we can help you with. Because I've seen people make books, beautiful books, and then you see them trying to get the tags out of the pockets, and they've stuck in the bottom of the pocket because it's hit the edge of the tape. It would drive me nuts. So yes, have a think about that one. All right, thank you all very much. Glad you enjoyed that one. Right, we're ready for another. Oh, I'll just remind you about my question. My question for this week for somebody to win a couple of cards from me is, what time are Jamie's shows tomorrow, and what channel is he appearing on? So that should be an easy one, but if you're new to us, welcome, and if you don't know, well, you're about to find out. All right, so let's do another demo then. I'm going to show you a really lovely way to use the triangles and the squares and the dragonflies all together. So here we go. I have cut this one quite short. I've taken shortcuts, I hope you don't mind, but I thought it was fairly self-explanatory, I hope. If not, please ask questions and I can explain better. So what I've done here, I started out with a normal folded card, and then I very carefully cut it from the corner to the fold and took off the top right hand part of the front. So that's given me a triangular flap for the front. And then I've matted and layered with squares in pink and white, and I've matted pink and white triangles. And again, it is so lovely to have those triangles to mat and layer with, because they're just perfect proportions, perfect sizes, and it just makes life so much easier. Alright, so then on top of that, I'm going to bring in a square of silver mirror card. And what I'm going to do is line up corner to corner with the edge of my triangle. So like that. I want to get it so it's halfway on that diagonal edge. Sorry, I'm losing my voice, just bear with me. I'll have some water. Right, so I find it easier to have the card closed. It's tricky this, because let me turn that over just so it's not glaring. I have the card closed and then I put it on as if I was putting it in the middle of the card. So I'm looking at the 4 borders and trying to get those as equal as I can. And then obviously it's going to go that way around. And then make sure it's straight as well with the bottom and the top and all those bits and bobs that you need to look at when you're putting things together. And then also, really importantly, don't forget to only glue half of it down, okay? Because if you glue that side down, you won't have a card that opens. So to do that, what I do is I turn it over and I sort of gauge where the middle is, like that. And then I know, let me just get it right. No, that didn't work, it's gone the wrong way. I've gone the wrong way. Oh, I'll just wipe it off. Right, so go corner to corner. That's there. Make sure you're doing the right side, basically. Right, so it's this side. And then pop that down. Check that it's straight, that your corners are sitting on the line, the cut line, and that your 4 borders are as even as you can get them. I think it needs to go a little bit higher. There we go. And then just make sure, if you do have a little bit of overspill of glue, you just get rid of that so it doesn't stick it shut. Okay. A good job we can wiggle with this glue because that had moved a little bit. If you do get any glue on mirror card, just wet your finger and rub it off and it does come off. Which is a good job because I made a right mess of that and I've got glue everywhere. Right. So that's our first little piece. And then what I've been doing, I've been experimenting with the squares, the frames, and the layering dies, because obviously they're all going to work together. So I've got the scalloped edge nesting squares here, and I've cut myself a square. I've cut the what's it called, the swirly square, with just the patterned part, no edge, and then I've cut that to size by hand, and I've cut the frame out of mirror card. And so it's this square is ever so slightly smaller than the frame. And then I've got foam tape on this, so it will have a little bit of height. And I've got some really thin tape that a friend of mine gave me, and it's so good for this sort of thing. It's perfect. Okay. So line that up and pop that on top of my decorative square. There we go. Can you see that lovely detail in that frame? That's the little scallopy one. It's lovely, isn't it? And then I'm going to put this on here, so the pink's going to show through my lovely pattern. Hi Tony, hope you're well. Thanks for joining us. Let's get this on there. No, sorry, the mirror card is lovely, but it's glaring into it on the camera. Can't do much about that. There we go. That's a so that little set on its own could go on any card. On a small square card, you could do 2 of them or 3 of them. On a tall card, I think that little arrangement is going to be a good basic to get going with. Okay, now this can go on here, and then that will cover up most of the mirror card and all my glue smears, which is probably a really good thing. I normally get told I'm such a tidy crafter and I don't make mistakes, and I'm thinking, yeah, right, you haven't seen me on my own. So that's just leaving a very, very small silver border now, can you see? But I love that, you know, the repetition of the pink, the white, the silver, and that's something else that's really lovely to get to grips with, I think, in your card making. Nothing wrong with loads of colour, but keep it to 2 or 3 and repeat them throughout the project so that everything pulls together at the end. And then the other thing I thought might be nice would be to add some corners here. So I've got these lovely swirly corners. Now these have come from the Kaleidoscope Octagon set. There are 4 different corners in that set, and again it's lovely that we have these that match with these new squares. So I think that's just a fantastic way that Jamie works, making everything complement and work together. And it means that as soon as you see a new collection, you'll be able to see elements, and hopefully it'll make you think about digging out some of your older things. Because we're all bad at it, aren't we? We buy the latest, newest, next best thing, and we might play with it for a little while, and then it goes in the cupboard and we're on to the next thing. But this way, it makes you go back and look at them again, because there are things coming out all the time that are going to work with what you've already got, and I think that's just genius. And it's something, sadly, not many companies do, because, well, they just want you to buy the next best thing, don't they? And obviously, so do we, but we do like to make sure that you older bits and pieces have got longevity as well. And it's really important because you spend a lot of money, don't you, on this craft stuff. So it's important to know that it's got a life after the first couple of months of you having it. I think that's so important. And also it means you go back and explore it a little bit further and get more out of it than perhaps you did the first time round. And that can't be a bad thing, can it? So there we go, 2 beautiful corners. I could have done those in pink. I did try them in pink and I decided it was pink overload, but that's just me. Don't feel that, you know, oh, I've got to do it like Gwen did, because you certainly don't. Absolutely not. Okay, and then I've got my dragonfly. Now this is stunning, done in mirror card. I've done nothing to it, it's just mirror card, but that etching detail in the dragonfly was really picked up well, hasn't it? Now I know if we had a black stays on, or any colour stays on actually, you could go over the top of that and it would look incredible. But I did actually just want it silver this time, so I've just put some strips of 3D foam on the back of the wings and the body. I didn't attempt to do the tail. I thought, do you know what, that's okay, that can float. So that's what I decided to do. You could, if you've got gel glue, that's good for doing this sort of thing as well. You have to be careful because this is raised, so you don't want to, if you use gel glue and you press it down, it's probably going to sink, isn't it? So let's just pop our dragonfly in the middle there. It just fits beautifully. I'm pretty sure that was intentional. Okay, and there we have a super card showing a good use, I think, of those triangles. And it also gives you a card that's a little bit different, doesn't it? So if we have a look at it, it opens on the front like that. And it's nice and tidy on the back as well. You've got somewhere to put your message. And you could always reflect with another corner here inside perhaps, and then put your sentiment. It's entirely up to you. You could also add some flowers and foliage. I just quite liked it a bit more plain, this one. So there we are. So somebody could be winning that if you can answer my question. What time are Jamie's shows tomorrow, and what channel is he appearing on? Oh, I'm so excited. I'm surprised you're here watching, Jamie. For me, I'd still be in the throes of preparation. That'd be terrible. He's a trooper for showing up tonight. Thanks, Jamie. Right, have we any questions? Have I missed anything? Oh, thank you all, you're very kind. I'm glad you like it. Yeah, I don't know what was Jamie's homework? Oh, hashtag with love. Yeah. So, I see a lot of you are, yeah, answering the question. Sorry, my brain went off somewhere then. Answering the question, yeah. So I'm glad you're all up to speed, and I hope you're all going to be joining him. Again, I want to wish him just all the luck in the world. He deserves it. Oh, Jamie said they were watching on the journey up. They just got to the hotel, and they were still watching in reception, people giving them funny looks. That's dedication. Yeah. Well, I hope you get some sleep tonight, that's for sure. So, it's going to be a busy old day. I can't wait, I'm so excited. Alrighty, so we don't have any questions. How about another demo? Are we up for another demo? Let's do it. I promise you some glitter. So let's do glitter. Oh, I love these glitters. Alright, I'm going to show you a few different things, the way I like to use glitters and these lovely patchwork dies. So let's do it. Right, so first of all I need to just sort my head out. Right, oh, I've got so many bits and pieces for this card. Okay, the first thing I want to do is create a kind of a patchwork with the squares. So I have got here a piece of white card. It's already covered in glitter. And this is Jamie's double-sided adhesive. This is lovely. You get 5 A4 sheets in a pack, and it's the thinnest double-sided adhesive. It's lovely, and you can die cut through this and all sorts. Once it's attached to a piece of card, that's usually the best way to go about it. And I like as well that it has a slight cuff that you can get hold of, so you can actually take the back off it relatively easily. So I'm just going to take one side of this off. That's going to reveal the sticky side there, and then I'm going to put the sticky side down onto my piece of card. So I've cut my card to the right length, but I've left it slightly wider so that I've got something to hold on to for what I'm going to do next. Okay, so that's the first thing. And then what I've done is I've cut some of the squares out of white card, and for these I've used the inner panel. Let me grab one. Can you see that inner edge and the centre panel, and that's given me these squares. So I've got polka dot and I've got swirly, 2 of each, and that's given me triangles when you cut it in half across the corner like that. Okay, so just let me double check. Right, I need that one and that one. So these two, what I'm going to do is cut them diagonally. I'm just going to go and get my trimmer. I'll just pop my spritz piece of card there so you can see how it's drying now. It's got lovely watermarks in it. And the colours are melding nicely, so you're getting lilacs and purples in there as well, so that's coming on nicely. There'll be lots of places where you can choose to cut from once that's properly dry. Sorry, I know I'm a bit disorganised tonight. I've had a really busy day in the shop. Not that I'm complaining, but of all the days when I was trying to get ready and I couldn't have a minute, honestly. But anyway, here we are. Right, so it's really important when you're doing this that you are as accurate as possible, and it's really awkward to show because the guillotine has its handle in the way. But if I can tip it up on your on this type of guillotine, there's a little metal cutting edge, and that's what you line up to. So point to point across the square. It's worth taking those few extra seconds to be absolutely accurate. It's going to make the rest of what I'm going to do so much easier. So absolutely take your time, point to point, and then get a really firm grip on the finger guard, and then a quick, very positive chop, and you've got two, should be perfect halves. There we go. This one, same thing, but it's slightly trickier because you are going to lose tiny bits of the swirly pattern, but don't worry, it will not matter in the big scheme of things. So there we go, two lovely triangles with the loopy pattern. Alright, so now what I want to do is create a patchwork on this piece of card. So I'm going to take away only part of the backing here, and I'm going to fold it back. Thing to do is try and keep your fingers off this as much as possible, because if you do touch it with your fingers then it tends to lose its tack, and that's not ideal. So the less handling the better. So I'm just making sure that's where I can rest my hand on it. Now I have sized this, so I measured corner to corner on the square and then cut my piece accordingly, and it's 3 1/4 inches, I think it was anyway. And then I'm laying it right on that bottom edge, and then I can use this backing paper to press that in place. So now I've got these little holes are sticky, and I can put anything I want through that as long as it's a particle. Then I'm going to come in with another half one. Now this is where you've got to be really, really careful, and what I do is I line them up on the solid edges like that, but I also really concentrate on keeping this edge straight. So point to point, side to side, and then once you're happy, you can pop that down, and again press. So you can see we're starting to make a pretty pattern. Now I'm going to bring the other side in. Excuse me. And I'm going to again line up really carefully at this junction here, and on those straight sides, make sure they're close together. Good. And then press it down. Alright, and so you go on and on, and I've got one I've got a bit further on with that I thought I'd jump to at this point. So this one I've put the centre one in, that's the only full one in the pattern, and now I'm going to bring in 2 more of these, which I'm going to chop in half. And continue all the way up to the top. So what I'm going to do this time, peel that back that way. I'm going to line up again, point to point, side to side, and you should, if you've cut things properly, it should all line up down this edge anyway. I mean, a slight discrepancy isn't, obviously it's not the end of the world, you can trim things afterwards. But I just find it easier. I always try and cut things just before I start, and then at least you've got a good guideline to go from. But I am a bit of a perfectionist. I accept that. And And then hopefully now my last piece should just fit in here. There we go. Alright, so there's our panel, and all of those little apertures are sticky. So now I can put stuff through them. How excited. So I'm going to bring in a mixture of glitter from the original 8 colours that we had, which are these. So this was the original 8, and we have Argentine Silver, Helidor Gold, Violet Sapphire, Larimar, that's those 4. And then we have Pink Sapphire, Rose Quartz, Black Onyx and Aquamarine. And these are the same glitters that are in the Gemstones texture paste. So the colours and the glitters are exactly the same, which is rather splendid. So I'm going to be using this one, which is the Violet Sapphire. But I'm also going to bring in, shh, don't tell him, some of the new ones, the Christmas ones. Did I say Christmas? So we have Emerald Green, Amethyst, Ruby Red and Diamond White. And again, we have matching pastes which are already available. Exactly the same glitter, exactly the same colours, and this is what helps to coordinate your projects. So have a look at, if you've got those in your stash already, I'm sure you'll want to add these to go alongside them. And if you haven't already got the originals, you might like to add to those as well. And they're all available from your local stockists. If we've got any stockists in tonight, please do pop your details in the comments so people can find you and get their goodies from you. Alright, so I'm going to be using these two, so Amethyst and Emerald Green, and then together with Violet Sapphire from the original collection. And I'm going to randomly sprinkle these through this panel. So starting with Violet Sapphire, I'm just going to sprinkle here and there. Now I have to be a little bit careful. I'm going to bring back my release paper. I'm just going to burnish this. You get a much better concentration of glitter if you actually bother to rub it down. If you just sprinkle it and shake it off, it'll be quite pale and not altogether as good as it can be. Look at that, isn't that pretty? And then I just want to do a bit more, so I'm going to go, it's a bit like when you're inking this, you just do this bit and that bit and then you bring other colours in different sections and off you go, but I'm doing it with glitter. So there we are, tap off that. And then I'm going to keep that, I'll put it back in the jar later when I get a bit of time. And then I can bring another sheet in for the next colour. Do put your lid on, because if you spill these they go everywhere. There's a lot in these jars, 50ml, that is a lot. Right, let's have a look at this amethyst, this is just stunning. So I'm going to put a little bit there. And then again, just give it a little rub. Make sure you fill in any gaps, because the last colour you put on will fill up any gaps that there are still open. Okay. You see that? Isn't it pretty? Alright, let's put that one to one side. Another piece. So now I can fill up this with green. It's not going to take where I've already got the violet sapphire and the amethyst. It can only take where there is still some sticky surface exposed. So I can shake this across. I could cover the whole thing and it wouldn't take except where there was a gap. So I can rub this down at that, isn't that pretty? You see the variegation that we've got now through there. And just sweep off any stray specks. So it's nice and clean and the white comes up nice and white. Okay, so that's our panel done. And then what I can do is trim off these edges so that it's the size I want it to be. Alright, so that's the first bit. Are you with me so far? Now for the next piece, I've got a slightly bigger piece of white. This is going to create one of the mats and layers for me. And I'm going to edge it in the same glitter so that everything matches perfectly. So I'm going to edge it in the amethyst. So that's the new colour in the Christmas collection. And this is what Jamie's going to be releasing tomorrow, is the Christmas collection. So you are getting a sneak peek here as well tonight, which is, you know, we don't mind a bit of naughtiness, do we? So what I've got here, I've got some double-sided, the super sticky tape, the red liner tape, and I've just bordered this piece of card. Now I would do all four sides, but I just wanted to quickly show you how to do this. So I've edged one edge and I would go obviously around all four. So I've now got the double-sided adhesive down this edge. You can just see it glinting there in the light. And then I'm just going to sprinkle this along the edge. And again, get your fingers in it. If you really can't abide touching glitter, then you can do this with a brush, but you do really need to press it down. And again, just wipe off any excess. Use a brush for that, however you like to do it. Tumble dryer sheets are really good for this because they're anti-static, so it does pick up any stray little bits and pieces. So once you've done that round all four edges, you will have a panel that looks like this. Isn't that lovely? Rich, sparkly, lush. Look at it. Gorgeous, isn't it? Yeah, so that's one panel, and then my next layer is going to be silver mirroring. So that's already cut to size. One thing I would say, if you are going to mat and layer on top of glitter, you do need to use a wet glue because double-sided tape doesn't really stick to it, and you may find that your layers fall off before very long. So wet glue over glitter is always a good idea. Now I can trim this panel down should I wish to with the glitter on. I can always make my borders a bit smaller if I need to, but I've tried to cut everything to size to start with, but you know, it doesn't always go to plan, does it? So there we are. And then my patchwork panel is going to go on top of that, but that needs trimming down. So before we get to that, I have my base card that that's going to go on to, and that's the beginnings of the card. Okay, so I want to show you a couple of other little things I have here. This is another thing I love to do with glitter, is to colour cardstock with glitter. Can you see how I've got green cardstock here? This is Jamie's, and I've glittered it with the green, this emerald green from the Christmas collection, and completely altered it. Can you see that? But if I'd started with a white card, it would have been a different green than using the green over a green cardstock, because these glitters have a translucency to them, so they will pick up whatever colours at the back of them and run with it, which is really nice. So in order to do this, I take some glue, and these blending mats of Jamie's, I can't tell you how much I've used them. They're brilliant for this. A little bit of cut and dry foam, and then just work some of the glue into the foam, and then tap that all over the foliage. You can do it with a brush if you prefer and brush it on. Oh, that was optimistic, wasn't it? And you can do this with your sentiments as well, so that again, it's coordination, isn't it, across the project. You've seen me before make a sheet of glitter paper and then die cut through it, and yes, you can do that, but I like this effect because the glitter doesn't get flattened down quite the same as it does when you die cut through it. So I quite like that idea as well. And I've just got a smallish piece of paper here, and I'm going to just throw this glitter all over this foliage now. And it doesn't matter if there are bits where it doesn't stick. It just adds a bit of light and shade. Just give it a little press. Okay. And then a tap. Oh, look at that. Can you imagine that for Christmas with holly? And, oh, it's gorgeous. Look how sparkly it is. It is a wow, isn't it? It really is beautiful. So I've got 2 of those, left and right, obviously, because I can, because I've got the left and right foliage, which is an absolute boon. Yeah, and that didn't work, it went everywhere. Never mind. I'll sweep up tomorrow. And then I've got here the button blooms. And I wanted to show you just how I've shaped mine. So I have 4 sizes. I don't know what I've done with them. It's 4 sizes anyway. So the smallest and then the next 3. And I just want to show you how I've shaped these, because there are different ways you can shape the flowers. And this is the way I like to do with this particular one. So it's quite a round flower. And I like to snip just between the petals. There's a very helpful little embossed guideline there for you to follow. Just snip towards the middle, but not too far, because otherwise you'll just cut the petals off and that's not going to look good, is it? So snip down between and then turn it over, and on the back grip it down the centre of the petal and just push it down with your fingers. And that gives a really nice shape to these petals. But because I've snipped, it actually releases a lot more of the petal. So it allows them to cup a little bit more. And then I'm going to pop a tiny dot of blue in there, and I've got the rest of the flower already done, so I'm just going to push that in there. Oops. They are slightly more tricky to get to sit if you want to alternate your petals. They like to nest inside each other. So you have to beat them into submission. So I'm holding the middle down while I've just twisted it into shape. Once it's gripped, it'll be fine. And then I'm going to create the centre of the flower with the glitter as well. So, what's that, Diane? Mini funnels. Oh! I'll have to look for those. I didn't know we had them. That's exciting. Right, so I'm putting a dollop of glue, and then I'm going to bring back my purple amethyst that's on my paper, and I'm just going to tap that into the middle of my flower, lots of it, and then chuck it off and let that dry. I like to try and sit it somewhere flat, which usually means in the middle of a roll of tape like that, so the bottom of it can sit inside, so that the glue doesn't go tilting off to one side. And then just leave that to dry and then flick off any stray bits, and you'll have a really lovely flower centre. So that's another little thing. And then I wanted to show you another little trick with the dragonfly. So I've got that lovely sort of veined dragonfly here, and I'm going to attach some double-sided adhesive to the front of a piece of card, like so. And I'm going to glitter this and then die cut through it. So this is the other way of creating a glittered finish. When I first did this, I didn't like what I did, and I'll show you the results of that in a second. So I actually decided, in fact I'll show it you now. So this was my first attempt. I wanted to do a two-coloured dragonfly, so I created a piece of glitter paper and then cut out of it, and then I didn't like the way the glitter was so defined in patches, so I just thought, no, that won't do. So what I then did was I had a piece of paper that had a mixture of glitter on it from my scraps, and I thought, well, what happens if I mix it? Will it still show two different colours? So I thought I'll try it. So I mixed a bit of the amethyst and a bit of the emerald, and then I genuinely did just mix it together. I mean, it's just fun doing this, just play. So give it a real good mix, and then that I'm going to tip onto my double-sided adhesive. So bring back that sticky panel, and I'm going to put this glitter all over it. Hope I mixed it up. And look at that. Oh, look at it. Good, that's enough. I'm just going to scoop up the loose bits, put them on the top, make sure I cover all the sheet, otherwise it's going to stick to my die cutting machine, which is not good. Right, can you see that? You see the purple and the green mixed. So exciting. And you can keep, if you've got mixers like this, you can certainly keep them in a separate little pot should you wish, and then you've always got them, haven't you, for another occasion. So then I'm just going to stick the dragonfly on there. I'm actually not going to stick it because that'll fetch the glitter off. I'm just going to pop it on there, run this through my die cutting machine. That was a bit dramatic, I just sent the plates flying, don't panic. Okay. Oh. Right. Now you could probably cut some little flowers out of that if you were bothered. I'm not going to do that. And now I need to push this out. What I tend to do, because it's a bit sticky, a bit tacky, so if you can just release the head, and then I just get something underneath it and ease it out of the die. And now look at that. How glorious is that? And then I'm going to add some shape. I'm going to actually do this on my shaping mat, because if I do it by my fingers it will just pull all the glitter off. So, well, not all of it, but there is still quite a bit of loose. So I'm just going to curl it on my mat, and then I just put my thumbnail against the body and lift the wing like that. Oh, I wish you could see. That doesn't do it justice. The sparkle on this is unbelievable, and it's just, and that two-tone colour. I was well chuffed with my little self, I was. Alright, so in order to put this together, I've got my two sparkly bits of foliage, which will go there and there. I can come in with my flower and my dragonfly, and then when that's all stuck together, And everything's trimmed down to size. There we go. So we've got multi-tonal background with a mixture of original and Christmas glitters. We've got glittered foliage, a glittered flower centre, and a glittered dragonfly. Look at that. That's cool, isn't it? I really like that. I've got, my head's buzzing now. I'm thinking, oh, I need to try this. I need to do flowers like that and butterflies like that and whole sheets like that. And oh, yeah. There we are. So that's my little efforts for tonight. I hope you've enjoyed it. And I hope you've picked up some tips and tricks and things you can take away with you. That's why we do these things, to hopefully help inspire. Excuse me, hello again. Right, let's have a look. Who have I missed? Anybody? Oh, you're all very kind. Thank you so much. Jasmine. Yeah, I wouldn't bother. Just concentrate on the craft, love. Yeah, you can do your crocheting later. Oh yes, Kathleen, how funny. Wimbledon coloured dragonfly. Never even twigged. And my son's at Wimbledon. He's a chef and he's cooking at Wimbledon at the moment. Yeah, I should have known that, shouldn't I? Right, so you're all very excited. That's lovely. So how excited are we all about tomorrow? I am. I really can't wait. So Jamie is appearing on telly. My question for you was, what time are Jamie's shows tomorrow and on what channel? I'm sure you're all well aware, but somebody will be picked at random from all those lovely answers and you could win a couple of the cards I've made tonight. If you want them signing, let us know. Send us a message with your address when you find out if you're the winner, and we can sort that for you. Bearing in mind that Jamie isn't on telly tomorrow, give us a couple of days to get that all sorted. All right. Okay. Thank you all so much. I'm glad you've enjoyed. And I just want to say again, a huge good luck to Jamie for tomorrow. I know he's going to smash it. I'm sure he's nervous and excited and all of that. And might I suggest that you would send emails into the studio just to wish him luck and let him know that you're watching. They don't always get the chance to read them all out, but if you'd like to, here's the email address: studio@hobbymaker.com. So pop an email in to wish Jamie luck tomorrow if you'd like to. And yeah, let's go, let's do it. Jamie Rodgers Crafts back in the building. It's fandabido, isn't it? I can't wait, honestly. All right, everybody, thank you so much for your company. Thank you for joining me and putting up with me. Jamie will be back on Monday with his usual Monday night natter. No idea what he's going to be doing. Probably he doesn't either at this point. And I'll be back with you next Thursday when we're going to be having a look at the gorgeous Cuddly Clan. So I'll see you then. Take care. Have a good rest of the evening. Lots of love. Bye for now.